More than a dozen House Democrats are demanding the Trump administration lift restrictions on fetal tissue research. A scientist at the National Institutes for Health has reportedly been thwarted in attempts to reactivate the government-funded line of research. The Washington Post said recently, quote, the fetal tissue is donated by women undergoing elective abortions, but critics say that it's unethical to use the material and that taxpayer money should not be used for research that relies on abortion. Let's bring in Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall, former DOJ lawyer during the Bush administration, and Professor John Yoo. Welcome to you both. Good to have you.
Hi, Shannon.
Good to be here, Shannon.
Okay, so the argument is that this fetal tissue research could be helpful possibly in the COVID fight. Democratic Representative Diana DeGette says this in a tweet. The Trump administration refuses to lift its baseless restrictions on human fetal tissue research, which is preventing our nation's scientists from advancing studies to find treatments and cures for coronavirus. We're calling on his HHS Secretary Azar to immediately lift these restrictions. John, she says, listen, this could be about solving coronavirus.
First, on the one hand, I don't see a great deal of scientific evidence or news or research reports from other countries that indicates that fetal tissue is key to finding the cure for the coronavirus. We also got to balance. And the second thing you pointed out was that this is also just about taxpayer-funded research. If this really is so important, then this doctor or other researchers can go to another country, or they could go to private sources of funding to get this research done. And we've got to balance that against the nation's desire not to have this kind of fetal tissue used for medical research. The country elected Donald Trump president. He ran on a platform about appointing originalist judges and putting bans like this into place because people are worried about a slippery slope. If we start using fetal tissue here, is the next step, are we going to start having abortions deliberately to get research material? And then are we going to start cloning fetuses to get fetal tissue material? You can see where people and the administration said, we don't even want to trigger a train of events where we might go down that slope. So better just to have a clear rule where we won't do it at all.
Yeah, Leslie, you can understand those are the slippery slope concerns that people have. But in this question about whether this particular research, the fetal tissue research, could be used, for things that would save lives. A group, this is the headline, Don't Listen to Doomsayers on Trump's fetal tissue research ban. It was written by a number of scholars and people who work at the Charlotte Lozier Institute, which is a pro-life group. They say none of the vaccines, treatments, or FDA-approved cellular and gene therapy products on the market today use human fetal tissue from elective abortions that rely on ongoing abortions. They're much more involved in explaining that there are adult stem cell lines and other options, and this one doesn't have to be the one. What do you say, Leslie?
Well, a few things. First of all, the coronavirus is new. It's an entirely new virus. So with all due respect to them, they don't know because our physicians don't know. With all due respect to John, no other country has come up with a true cure, vaccine, or treatment, which is really our goal here, isn't it, in going forward with coronavirus. We have over 12,000 people today that in the United States that have lost their lives. How many more tomorrow or next week? And with regard to that slippery slope, Shannon, I totally agree. It's a very uncomfortable subject matter, and especially tax dollars going toward this. But a couple of things. One, you're talking about fetuses that have already been aborted. That decision's been made and certainly not based on research. Secondly, the president has the power to draw that line in the sand and to make it specific and finite to this situation, especially because this is an emergency, or in legalese, as you know, Shannon, as an attorney, it's an act of God. So right now, I think that what we need to do as a nation, and especially because we are at the forefront of medical technology, often when it comes to things like this, we need to lead. And I feel that if that can lead to a cure, a vaccine, or even a treatment going forward and down the road, I think it's something that should be looked into.
Okay, and very quickly, because I want to make sure that you both get to weigh in on this debate about whether abortion clinics are essential businesses. The Fifth Circuit today has ruled that Governor Abbott in Texas can say, listen, we need the PPE gear, we need all doctors available, abortion clinics that are elective. Now, if there's an emergency or something else, there are exceptions, but we are not going to say that abortion clinics are essential businesses at this point. John, Planned Parenthood calling that unconscionable tonight, saying people are playing politics with COVID when it comes to abortion.
I actually think these kind of abortion absolutists who think abortion is more important than everything are the ones playing politics. The Texas policy doesn't single abortion out. I think quite wisely, the governor of Texas issued an order saying all medical resources are to be devoted to fighting the coronavirus pandemic. And so all elective surgeries are going to have to take a second seat to that fight. That seems very reasonable and logical. It's not aimed specifically at abortion. Okay. All elective surgeries are being delayed. This kind of lawsuit wants to create a special exception for abortion. The second point I just quickly make is I think actually the pro-abortion groups are making a mistake, because if there's ever going to be a case where this Supreme Court, which just had a change in membership with Justice Kavanaugh joining the majority, replacing Justice Kennedy, might overrule Roe or might overrule Casey, it's going to be a case like this where public health needs are going the other direction than recognizing Casey and Roe.
All right. Want to make sure we get Leslie in quickly before we got to go.
The bottom line is, in Texas, there are women, especially women who are lower income and minority lower income women, who have to travel hundreds of miles to get health care. And these clinics, the majority of these clinics, abortion is not the percentage, the majority of their business. These women are going for other health services. So my problem is when you are limiting, not elective surgeries, but when you are limiting other health services, especially to women and especially to women that are lower income in the state of Texas. I'm very surprised.
I think it's elective surgeries and procedures. So, all right, Leslie and John, thank you both. We appreciate the conversation.